Okay, so ultimately this is like an ongoing little mini series here on my hair loss channel. The day after I've done the clean shave on my head, and looking at a stream of comments going back and forth from Robert and Maxwell Smart on a video I made called Testing My Hair Loss Theories on my roommate from 2002. What I want to talk about in this video, as I've read back and forth their banter, which is I would say is required reading for any of my subscribers. Check out the comments. There's a lot of intelligent words being exchanged there on that comment section. Something that I saw that they had said, Robert and Max, they had pointed out that Nick Shell fundamentally doesn't care about his hair. And we need to talk about that. It is so true. You know, and we can get distracted. Oh man, Nick, you can really pull off this look having whether it's the zero guard buzz cut or whether it's the clean shave. Nick, you can pull this off. And that's good and that's great. And we should talk about that. But fundamentally, I don't care about hair. And you know, Robert and Max have been with me for a long time. They were some of my first subscribers, some of my first supporters, and they really have helped mold and shape my channel, the direction of it. And I want to also give out a shout to Harry Cueball. He was the very first person long ago saying you need a clean shave. So I shout out to you, Harry Cueball. I love you too, man. But anyone who's been with me for a long time, a matter of years on this channel, we could perhaps say that at first I did care about my hair because I had already decided I'd be a guy who would be losing my hair as an adult, but I maybe hadn't come to terms with complete peace with it like I have now. And now I'm there, you know. That's the main thing I'm selling here. If I was doing an infomercial, what am I selling you? I'm selling you on having confidence despite hair loss. You know, that's what I sell to you if it were a product. But do I care about my hair? The answer is I don't care about my hair. And I want to share, in addition to having Robert and Max back me up on this, here's where it really comes down to. So imagine this. Here's what we haven't talked about. So yesterday in real time, when I got my head clean shaven, what was the reaction from my family? Okay, so my wife pulls in the driveway with our daughter, and she looks at me. She doesn't even say anything. She's like, hey, like, she's used to it. I'm her husband. She's used to her husband doing this, and she doesn't care. She never cared. She just doesn't want me to have long hair. That's the main thing. She appreciates the paychecks I get as a YouTuber. I pulled in $250 last month from this channel alone when I first did the zero guard. You know, she does our budget. She sees that, oh, Nick gets paid to do this. He's helping out. Okay. And it's funny because I'm the husband who doesn't care about sports. You know, and I'm not dissing you. If you like sports, keep watching sports. Keep spending your time and money on sports. It makes you feel good. But Nick Shell doesn't care about sports. It's like Jerry Seinfeld said. Jerry Seinfeld said in one of the episodes of Comedians with Cars with Coffee, it's like, man, look, they're trading players all the time. Basically, you're just rooting for laundry. You're rooting for this jersey to win against this jersey, you know? And what do I do in my spare time? I make videos which ultimately bring in supplemental income. And you may say, well, Nick, $250 is not a lot for a month worth of videos. But it's more money than I would have made if I didn't make them. And it was more money than if I cared about sports and maybe had to pay money to buy something sports related. So ultimately, I take pleasure in making money off of not having hair. For a guy who can arguably still have a full head of hair, there's irony there. It's almost like the episode of Seinfeld. Speaking of Jerry Seinfeld, I didn't mean to do that twice in one little video here, but there's an episode where Jerry Seinfeld, on that show, Seinfeld, there's a guy who wants to tell Jewish jokes, so he like converts to Judaism so that he can tell those Jewish jokes. And I kind of feel that way myself in the sense that I don't, quote, have to shave off all my hair, but I choose to. Not only because it makes me money, but because I love helping you. I love helping motivate you and give you confidence, and this can be my thing. And it's funny because you'd almost think it'd take a guy who doesn't have hair up to do this, but even me being somewhat of a poser or imposter because it can still grow hair, I can still send that positive message and help you and make money, so I feel good about it. So with all that being said, and that's important for me too, because I always feel it's important to be honest with you where I'm at, okay? With all that being said, the reaction to this, okay? So my wife said, okay, yeah. My son, he said, here's what my son said. He's like, well, it doesn't really look that much different than how you've been doing it, but really I can still see where your hair is supposed to be. And I think he makes a good point. I myself am surprised at how much of my hairline you can still actually see. Of course, it's only been 24 hours, but even yesterday when it was just done, I mean, I can still see my hairline. Because I guess what we have to do is like have me stand back here, and you know, I guess it's less obvious then. But with my hair being as dark as it is, like you can still see that, even with it as being as short as it can possibly be. As far as the neighbors, okay, so I was walking around with the kids while my wife was cleaning up the dishes, and we were outside, and two of the neighbors were out there. One man who's, I guess, in his 70s, and one who's about to turn 60, and they still have a decent amount of hair, both of them. And I walk out, they see me walking with my kids, and they say, you know, what are you trying to do? See how short you can get your hair? I said, yeah, actually, yes, because my viewership on my YouTube channel has tripled, and it brought in, you know, that amount of money. And they're like, and their response is, yeah, well, that's how the internet is. It's funny how you can make money doing something like getting rid of your hair. And it's funny because it's like my reputation in the real world, like that's how people perceive me. They're like, yeah, Nick Shell, he'll do anything to grow his presence on social media, you know. And with me writing the songs, I love writing these songs. I love writing that song for Boardroom, and they didn't even ask me to do it. I just like, I'm gonna do this, and here it is. You're welcome. You know, like what you have to do in this moment is separate Nick Shell, the infomercial guy who talks about hair loss, versus Nick Shell, the entrepreneur, the guy who's wanting to fully immerse himself in making a career out of being in front of the camera. And keep in mind that I am currently under review to being part of an infomercial on a major network that you all heard of, for a major brand that you've all heard of, and they know me as the guy with no hair and the beard scruff. And I just love that. Like, I love the fact that I can be considered, despite not having hair, we don't have to have this perfect head of hair concept to be hosting an infomercial. Like, that's actually happening, that's real. Now, a month from now, I may find out, hey, I didn't get the part. But currently, I'm being reviewed to sort of host an infomercial on TV, which would be my second TV appearance, which is interesting because the first appearance I had to have hair. This one, I absolutely will not have hair, and in the contract I've already signed with them, I agreed that I would not change my appearance. So, and that's going to be at least through August. So, not only do I not care about hair, I love choosing to not have hair because I feel like selfishly it gets me further in life, which probably goes back to what we already knew about men who choose to go bald. No, and when I say that, whether you're at my hairline status or whether you truly have no hair, it's still a choice to go completely bald, you know, around here. Whether it is a smooth shave, whether it is a zero guard, it's still that choice as compared to being, you know, Kevin from The Office or Bozo the Clown and having all the hair on the top. It's still a choice that you could choose no matter how much hair is still up here. And again, no one can deny that a man who makes this decision, it's assumed that you're a confident guy. It's already assumed. It's built into that appearance of that, isn't it? So, does Nick Shell care about hair? He does not, but he selfishly reaps the benefits of choosing to be a guy who doesn't have hair. And at this point, what if you're me, and if you're you too, but ultimately if you're me, why would you be motivated to grow your hair back would really be the question. What is there in it for me to grow my hair back? And you know, and some of you can say, but yeah, Nick, look, you're turning 37 in a few days. You're going to be pushing 40. You're married to a beautiful woman and you have these great kids. I can see why hair doesn't matter to you. But see, that's the thing. I turn it on you when you say that to me. I turn it back on you and say, yeah, but look at you. You're in your early 20s. You could have this superpower status now as a young man. And it would, that would be awesome. Because see, here's the thing. Even when I first buzzed my hair off, you know, and you met my college roommate. When I first did that, I I mean, I was arguably working on Norwood 2 at that point. I was 21 and I was pushing Norwood 2 at that point. So I already had the concept of, okay, my hairline's changing. But even then, I was a full, thick head of hair. And that's, even at age 21, I thought, but I really like this. Who cares if I can grow it? If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. I want you to know, fundamentally, Nick Shell does not care about hair. Do you believe me? Because man, I love the identity concept. It's funny to not care about how people think about me, but at the same time you realize I'm getting major positive reinforcement from not just this channel, but from the rest of the world. People like me like this. And here's the closing statement. Closing statement is, before I started getting rid of my hair, which I could still grow a full head of hair of, right? Before I got rid of the hair, did people come up to me and say, Nick, I really like your full head of hair and I like your hairstyle? They didn't. The only time that even happened is when I finally did the disconnected part. I got several compliments on that. But even then I didn't care. Sure, it's nice to get a compliment, but I didn't care enough about that hairstyle and that hair to continue committing to that, right? No, Nick Shell doesn't care about hair. He doesn't care about hair so much to the point he prefers this even though we can have hair. Nick Shell, it's not that I don't care. Yeah, and my wife even said it. She's like, you truly don't care about hair. That is the biggest compliment for someone to say that I don't care about hair. And it's true. Not having hair makes my life better. Hair is useless when you're a man. When you can have this, and you're an American, you go further. And I say that because if you're Indian, like in India, and you shave your hair, it means that one of your parents died. And if you're Asian, in Asia, it often is, you get ridicule if you're going bald and you can't shave it. But here in America, move to America, shave your head, grow a beard, life will get better for you. Nick Shell doesn't care about hair. He cares about not having hair. That's what he cares about.